All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Honestly, good evening. And today I'll be presenting our proposed beach volleyball program for Lynn University. Throughout this semester, our group worked together to develop a complete NCAA Division two beach volleyball program expansion. This project combines recruiting strategy, NCAA compliance, budgeting, facilities planning, marketing, staffing, and long-term program stability into one cohesive vision. And today I'll work through our website, explain all of the different components, how they connect together, as well as highlight individual opportunities to the project and explain why this program is both realistic and worth funding. As we know, beach volleyball has rapidly grown across the NCAA over the last decade, especially in the state of Florida, where climate, recruiting pipelines, and fan interest make it a natural fit. Currently, the Sunshine State Conference are beginning to invest in the sport, which creates a major opportunity for Lynn University to establish itself early within an emerging competitive landscape. Our project answers a very important question. Why should Lynn University add women's beach volleyball? And the answer is that this program provides competitive growth, increased enrollment opportunities for women, Title IX support, enhanced campus culture, and new community engagement possibilities, all while fitting naturally within South Florida's environment and athletic identity. The overall vision of this proposal is to create a sustainable, competitive, and community-oriented beach volleyball program that can grow into one of the premier Division two programs in the region. Now I'm going to walk through the website, basic structure overview. As you can see, we have all of our sections listed here at the top. The website includes a program overview and mission, a competitive analysis, recruiting strategy, facilities, planning and venue, budget projections, fundraising and scholarship opportunities, as well as revenue generation, community engagement initiatives, and an organizational structure and long-term development. The goal of organizing the site this way was to make the proposal feel more realistic, professional, almost like something an athletic director or university board could look at when making a fundraising decision. So the first section I would like to talk about is our competitive landscape. So I'm going to come over here to our pipeline tab. And this is one of the most components of this project, was analyzing this competitive landscape due to the fact that beach volleyball is continuing to expand throughout Florida, is continuing to expand throughout South Florida. The university already sits in one of the strongest recruiting regions for the country for beach volleyball talent. In this section of the website, we analyze the competing schools, scholarship opportunities, recruiting pipelines, and geographic advantages, as well as conference competition. One major advantage for Lynn University is its location, due to the fact that Boca Raton provides year-round warm weather, access to beaches, proximity to major volleyball clubs throughout Florida. That gives the university a strong recruiting advantage over the schools located in colder regions farther up north. We also focused heavily on international recruiting because Lynn University already has a strong international student population and athletic culture. Our recruiting strategy was centered mainly around Florida volleyball programs, international athletes, multi-sport indoor volleyball athletes that are transitioning into beach volleyball, as well as social media recruiting visibility and strong academic athlete balance. This section matters because talent acquisition determines whether or not a starter program can become competitive very quickly. The next section I will go over is Title IX. It is arguably one of the most important sections of this entire proposal due to the fact that this will prevent us from getting sued. We don't want that. Since beach volleyball is one of the fastest growing women's NCAA sports, it makes it extremely valuable for universities looking to improve gender equity within athletics. Adding women's beach volleyball helps expand women's athletic participation opportunities, improving Title IX proportionality, as well as increasing scholarship opportunities for female athletes and enhancing institutional diversity. We researched NCAA 2 division roster requirements, scholarship structures, and operational compliance considerations. This section is important because it gives even a great athletic idea cannot move forward unless it aligns with these regulations and institutional compliance standards. So next, I kind of want to go. We don't really have a specific coaching plan for this, but we do have that in our budget as well as our 3-year program, our 5-year program. So basically, the head staffing model includes a head coach, 2 assistant coaches, an athletic trainer, and that's about it. and strength and conditioning collaboration. My mistake. One of the strategic decisions that we made was creating a scalable staffing model instead of ultimately immediately building a large coaching staff. And the program can expand personnel gradually as recruiting classes and budgets grow. This section matters because coaching quality directly affects recruiting and player development, as well as player retention and program culture. The next section I would like to talk about is our facilities. Whoopsie daisy, get that out of there. Is our facilities. As you can see, we have proposed for a 5-court layout within within the grass complex right next to Purple Residence Hall. These 5 sand courts will also include spectator seating, lighting systems, branding elements, event space opportunities, as well as training and recovery areas. This venue was intentionally designed not only for competition, but also for fan experience and revenue generation. South Florida weather allows the facility to remain active almost year-round, which creates opportunities for tournaments, clinics, camps, community rentals, intramural activities, high school showcases, and a plethora of other things. This transforms the venue into not just an athletic expense, but into a revenue-generating campus asset. We also analyze equipment costs, maintenance needs, and long-term operational stability. This section matters because facilities often determine recruiting success, fan engagement, and overall program credibility. So next, I'm going to go more in depth about our budget. As you can see here, we have all the numbers listed for our facility site, construction, coaching staff, travel expenses, and if you go into each of these menus, it goes a little bit more in depth about the numbers that we have for each section, as well as like stuff about like coaching and stuff like that. Basically, we also included multiple funding sources, as you can see down here. The most important one being our camps and clinics, because that is one of our biggest revenue sources aside from just corporate sponsorships and university athletic funding. You can see that we have a phased approach. This is being more realistic to having venue as like in year one we have a target of $40,000 in revenue. The next year would be $60,000, $80,000, and so on. The important part of this section was to acknowledge the financial risk honestly. Startup programs usually require significant investment, so we developed phased growth strategies such as the camping and clinics. Instead of assuming immediate profitability. And this section matters because the athletic directors ultimately need to see the financial responsibility and long-term stability before approving a new program. I would next like to talk about our marketing, social media, and community engagement. We also don't have a specific section, so I'll just go back down to our facilities. But we have made multiple deliverables for social media outreach. Our marketing strategies emphasized Instagram, TikTok content, athlete storytelling, community outreach, match day entertainment, and student engagement. Because beach volleyball naturally has a strong visual and social media friendly atmosphere, we believe that this could quickly build a recognizable campus identity. We propose theme nights, youth clinics, alumni events, community tournaments, and so much more. And the purpose was to make beach volleyball feel more than just like another athletic team. We wanted it to become a campus and community experience. So I'm going to go back up to our long-term plan. Let's see. I went too far. Right. Oh, gosh. There it is. My fault. So another aspect of this proposal was being involved in organizational planning. We need a leadership hierarchy, program culture, long-term recruiting goals, scholarship growth, stuff like that, and competitive benchmarks as well. We looked at what like success would look like realistically in the first few years, rather than just like expecting immediate championships. As you can see, year 5+ is when we would expect a championship to arise. And this section also matters because sustainable programs require long-term structure, not just short-term excitement. So we need this program to be sustainable throughout these next 5 years. Next, I would like to talk about my individual contributions. And this section is kind of touchy because it's kind of hard to show on this without giving you the actual prompts of the website. But basically what happened was our professor kind of switched everything up on us by switching up our groups middle of the block, and it challenged us to like combine all of our information together. So I had information from my website, another group member had information from our website, and we just put it together, clashed it together, and made this. My main contributions were mostly the information within these tabs. Like the tabs were created by the combination of the information, but the tabs itself, the information within them was inputted by me using base 44 prompts and stuff like that. One of the biggest things that I contributed was helping make sure that the proposal felt realistic rather than theoretical. One of the main um, one of the main pieces of constructive criticism that we kept getting was that our budget wasn't as realistic as it could be. We need to flesh out the numbers some more, stuff like that. So what we did was we went more in depth into the research of the numbers, which is how the phased camp and clinics approach came about, because we figured that having revenue generation immediately at that large, we had a much larger number of revenue generation proposed for the camps and clinics, and given that we saw that it was an unrealistic number, we went and did some research, found more justification for this number, and narrowed it down a little bit more and created this phased approach. This project required both creativity and strategic thinking, and I believe that my work helped connect multiple sections, if not all of them, into a more cohesive overall vision. So, big question of the day: why is this program viable? If I were the athletic director, if I were Kathy reviewing this proposal, I would strongly consider funding this program. The strongest aspects of this proposal are the geographical recruiting advantages, the Title IX benefits, the strong facility potential, revenue generation opportunities, the vast growing interest in NCAA beach volleyball, as well as long-term branding and enrollment benefits. This proposal is realistic, this proposal is realistic because it does not assume immediate perfection or profit. Instead, it builds a scalable model that can grow gradually over time. Of course, there are risks, as there are to literally anything in life. There's startup expenses, there's recruiting competition, operational costs, long-term funding consistency, as well as there's always the liability of injuries in season, as well as weather can affect scheduling and stuff like that. However, we address these risks through phased budgeting, community partnerships, phased fundraising opportunities, and scalable staffing structures, and much more. And that's why this program is viable and should be funded. So the final thing that I want to discuss is impact. This program would possibly affect multiple areas on campus, such as student-athlete opportunities, campus culture, community engagement, university branding, as well as department visibility. So I'm going back up to our basic 3-year layout, 3 to 5 year layout plan over here, right here. And so basically, I just want to go more in depth to this. Like, year one would look like launching the program successfully, recruiting financial athletes, getting an inaugural class of 8 to 10 athletes together, and building community awareness. We need to let people know that we have a new team. Year 3 would look more, we'd be more established as a team. We'd have competitive campus performance, increased attendance at games and stuff like that, as well as stronger recruiting pipelines and sustainable fundraising. And as you can see, year 5 on, we want championship. We want to be able to compete for that championship, get that gold, host that trophy, stuff like that. And overall, this proposal demonstrates that beach volleyball is not simply an additional sport. It's an opportunity for institutional growth, student engagement, and long-term athletic development. Thank you for your time, and thank you for reviewing our proposal for the future of Lynn Beach Volleyball.